Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for Johnny. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos or topics, reactions, commentaries, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And you wanted me to do a commentary on Broken Arrow, which I am a fan of. I do love this film. So let's start. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. Remember, this came out in February, which was an interesting month to release this. Granted, the wrong month. That's probably why I didn't make as much money as it should have. Because, yeah, February was such a weird month. I guess they figured there's no other competition, but again, February just seemed like... This seemed like a summer blockbuster movie instead. But yeah, this was John Woo's second American follow-up to Hard Target, which was 93. Great music, by the way. I love this music. It's one of my favorite scores for an action film. I love the way they shot where we're so up high of this boxing ring. I think this is a very interesting artistic shot. See these two guys by themselves boxing. Nothing around them, no crowd, nothing. Just the two of them, front and center. Of course, we've got Christian Slater here and John Travolta. Christian Slater would work with John Woo again in Wind Talkers, while John Travolta, of course, worked again in Face Off, which was 97. Of course, this is a lead up to the ending where they're boxing, but for Slater, it's just we're having fun, we're supposed to be enjoying ourselves. So Slater's holding back, but when he's not holding back, he actually beat Travolta's character. But the thing is, Travolta's not holding back. Plus, it shows his edge, his mean streak. And I think this is one of John Travolta's best roles. He's having so much fun with this role. He's just having a ball and a half, being such an enjoyable villain. And Christian Slater, I've always enjoyed ever since. I mean, early days of watching Gleam in the Cube, Cuffs. He was in that film The Wizard, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. But yeah, this film came out, and someone put it like Hard Target was a bit more on style than story. This one was more John Woo trying to make, quote, an American film. And then Face Off was kind of the blending of the two and became John Woo's most successful American film. And yeah, Mission Impossible 2, among others. But this and Hard Target were always some of my favorite John Woo films. I would go Hard Target, Hard Boiled, then Broken Arrow. That's my top 3 favorite John Woo films. Like I said, I always enjoyed the actors, the main leads in this. The action scenes worked very well. The score is fantastic by Hans Zimmer. Perhaps my favorite score from him. And of course, pieces of his music would be used for the character Dewey, David Arquette's character, and Scream 2, which was, I think, 97. Because I think they did like a temp track of Dewey coming in with boom, 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 boom. And it was from this movie. And then they figured, well, why don't we just use it? And then they kept using that. But it was from this film first. Boom, dum, 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 bum, dum, dum, dum. Now, of course, John Travolta, he's been in the game for a long time. You had Saturday Night Fever, he had kind of a dry spell in the 80s after Saturday Night Fever and Grease and stuff. Carrie. Where he was doing films like Perfect, and, other than the Look Who's Talking films, he didn't really find much success. And it wasn't until, I would say, 94 Pulp Fiction, where it was kind of a comeback for Travolta. Because Pulp Fiction, you had this film, you had Face Off, The General's Daughter, Phenomenon. That was a successful one. And then more so. But obviously, John Woo liked working with these guys because, again, he worked with them again. Like I said, Christian Slayer in Wind Talkers, John Travolta in Face Off. And then I had Nick Cage, and Nick Cage worked with John Woo again in Wind Talkers. Yeah, the first time I heard about John Woo was Hard Target, being a big Jean-Claude Van Damme fan, and I saw that on VHS and loved it ever since. It's become a favorite of mine. And because I'm like, oh, okay, this guy John Woo did it, what else is he doing? This was coming out, and I saw this on VHS and then DVD and loved it. So I'm like, okay, I gotta follow where this guy's coming from. And then later on cable, found Hard Boiled. I'm like, wow, okay, it just really impressed how this guy handles the action, handles the camera work. I think he knows how to use slow motion well. And you tell Fox gave John Woo a decent sized budget for this. Because this stuff doesn't look cheap. There's some nice production value. I like the look of this stealth bomber. And as it says back here, two military pirates engage in a no-holds-barred battle against time and each other in a race to recover two stolen nuclear warheads. When a B-3 stealth bomber crashes in the Utah desert during a top-secret test run, military quickly moves in to retrieve its two broken arrows. But the situation spins wildly out of control after one of the pirates reveals the crash to be part of an incredible nuclear extortion plot. And sadly, you never hear anyone talk about Broken Arrow, which is a damn shame. I think it deserves a lot more. I mean, there's nothing on this Blu-ray. Absolutely nothing. Just trailers. A trailer for Broken Arrow, a trailer for Alien vs. Predator, a trailer for a few other Fox movies. But yeah, absolutely nothing on this. No commentaries, no interviews, no featurettes from back in the day. Even on YouTube, you find the HBO First Look from back in the day. Just nothing. Which is a damn shame. So I don't know if this film just completely bombed or just was it. Can't remember how much money this movie made or how little it made. So this is this person, you don't get killed. Or this old guy don't get killed, I think. Actually, I can't remember who gets killed. Yep, there you go. Damn. Not only do you shoot the guy, but you leave the body in the damn fire. We got this guy here, who of course was... Oh, what? I forgot his damn name. Bob Gunton. If he looks familiar, he was the evil warden in The Shawshank Redemption. He's been in a lot of other stuff as well. He was in Bats with Lee Diamond Phillips. But I always remember him as the evil ward and again the Shawshank Redemption. And I don't know if this is true, but I think Travolta first heard of John Woo by Quentin Tarantino. Because Tarantino definitely knew who John Woo was. And maybe Tarantino kind of pushed Travolta, hey, go work with this guy, John Woo. We got Delroy Lindo here talking. Of course, he's been in quite a few stuff, including Ransom, among other movies. I don't know what he's done lately, but he was always an actor that you would see, and okay, that's a capable guy that really seemed to give a bad performance. I think he was also in Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage. He's been in quite a few films. But yeah, I definitely remember him as one of the cops in Ransom with Mel Gibson. Yeah, I want to say this came out in 95? Do you want to say 96, but I think, yeah, 95. February 1995. Which again, February just seems like a weird month to release this film. I just don't think that was the right month to release this. I mean, granted, there's been some films that come out around that time. Maybe, what was it, Deadpool, maybe? Was it February? And Sonic the Hedgehog film. So, I mean, there's been films released that time that were popular and made money, so. Here we have Samantha Mathis, who I recognize as Daisy in the 1993 Super Mario Bros. Movie. Now, I don't know if this is true, but I heard a story that at one point this was going to be Halle Berry. But someone, I don't know if it was like a studio head, said, no, we don't want Halle Berry because there's no such thing as black park rangers. I don't know if that's true. If so, that's a horrendous thing to say, and that guy should have been fired on the spot. Whoever the hell said that. Number one, Halle Berry's a good actress. Number two, of course there are black park rangers. It's fucking stupid. Number three, the guy sounds like a fucking idiot. Or whoever the hell said it. Guy, girl, whoever the hell said it. So, Samantha Mathis does a fine enough job, but Halle Berry would have been great as well. And maybe that's why eventually she later did Executive Decision, which I think was right, not too, was Executive Decision 96? Can't remember. Yeah, Travolta's asking these questions. Maybe thinking if there's some way he can join them and maybe come to the dark side, so to speak. Trying to gauge Christian Slater's answers on maybe he could be part of the team or not. Leslie Slayer hit a bit too close to home with that. You love having the power of God at your fingertips. Almost as if, yep, this guy knows me more than anybody else, so he's the guy I need to take out. Well, this says 96. See, that's why I think, like, the back of the Blu-ray says 95, and then this says 96, so that's what's confusing about it. Here, they're in the abyss of this fight. Like I say, on the back of this, it literally says 1995 slash, I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't. Nah, it's too pixelated, but that says 95. So that's the... Yeah, February 9, 1996. Okay. Because I was thinking it was 96, but I'm like, oh, the back of here says 9. I don't know why that says 95. So even the Blu-ray got the year wrong for the movie. Here we get this what you could do with a fight with this small location. That's definitely a John Woo flavor, going back and forth for the two guys. A little bit of this guy's face, a little bit of this guy's face, more of this guy's face, more of this guy. That's definitely a John Woo flavor. Where he has these two people kind of sizing each other up, whether it be Van Damme and Lance Henriksen, Hard Target, or even like Chow Yun Fat and Tony Leon with the guns at each other, and that's bit in Hard Boiled. So it grossed $70 million in the U.S. and $150 million worldwide. So it wasn't a gargantuan budget, but film began April 26, 1995. Some filming took place in Glen Canyon National Recreation Area in Kane County, Utah. Desert sequences were shot in the Mojave Desert near Barstow, California, and in Coconino County near Page, Arizona. John Travolta was the original choice for Richard Slater's character, but then he wanted to play the villain. Nice to have some model work there. So it's not just, nowadays it'd be all CGI, but it's nice to have some model work there to create that tangible physicality to it. Of course, we have the brass having their meeting, which you'd have a lot of these. Oh, we got Kurtwood Smith there, Clarence Boddicker from RoboCop, the dad from That 70s Show. Here he's the Secretary of Defense. Yeah, you had a lot of these in these films in the 90s where you'd have like a brass kind of sitting around wondering what we're going to do next. You had that in Under Siege. A lot of other action films of this era had these scenes. And that younger guy, that's Frank Whaley. He played Lee Harvey Oswald, I believe, in JFK. He was in that film Vacancy. I think he was in the film Swimming with Sharks with Kevin Spacey. Just checking on some other people. Just checking to see. Sorry, just checking on some of the other actors. Bear with me on that. Yeah, this one, Sally. The one other thing that happened with this film is that Siskel and Ebert did their review, and Jim Siskel had given it a thumbs up, but Roger Ebert actually got him to change his mind. So thus, this film got 2 thumbs down. It's the only time on camera that Roger Ebert was able to change Gene Siskel's mind. It was ridiculous. This film not nearly that bad at all. I should mention that the guys who helped write this film, they had written the film Speed. That's probably why got a decent sized budget, because Speed was such a massive hit. And they go, well, what else has these writers? What else are they going to come up with? So they have this film, Broken Arrow. And then after that, you had Hard Rain, Mission to Mars, The Last Castle, and then a bunch of TV work. And Hard Rain, I mean, that was also a Christian Slayer, so they probably thought, okay, if we get somewhat the success of Broken Arrow, because I guess this was somewhat a success, to let the writers and then Christian Slayer and be another big budget film. Now we have this guy here, not Howie Long, but this guy here talking, saying we got ourselves a Broken Arrow. That guy seems familiar because I believe he was in Die Hard 2. I think he was one of the guys early on. I think he's the guy John McClane fights in the baggage claim. He also played Ben Urich, the reporter, in the Netflix show Daredevil. He was only in like the first season or so. Let me see. John Woo's earlier cut came in at the 2 hour mark and featured more character development and more violence in the action scenes. Well, we'll like to have seen that cut of the film. Christian Slayer turned down a role in Assassins to work with director John Woo. Can't really blame him because I don't mind Assassins, but I do think this is a better film. Let's see. I know this actor. I've seen a lot of stuff. This guy talking right now. I've seen him in a lot of stuff. I can't remember, though, his name. It says Helen Hunt was offered the role Samantha Mathis plays, but turned down in favor of Twister. Can't blame her. The film suffered from problems with recuts forced by studio interference and ratings problems caused by the MPAA. For their fight scenes, Slater and John Travolta trained with former boxing champion Carlos Palomino. Popular movie news website Ain't It Cool News got his name from a line in this movie. Really? Yeah, in an interview. Yeah, Halle Berry recalled that the producers turned her down for the role of Terry Carmichael and told her there are no Black Park Rangers. So supposedly the producers did it. Samantha Mathis had played Slater's love interest in Pump Up the Volume. Huh. Forgot about that. It was John Travolta's idea to play the character bigger than life. That's definitely a John Woo moment. Gun on one hand, knife in the other. Sort of that kind of little standoff. You still have these little John Woo moments in there. After his success of Speed, Gramio's next script for the film became a hot commodity, along with The Flood, which became Hard Rain. Optioned by Fox, it was greenlit instantly once they were able to get John Travolta. It was a bankable star after Pulp Fiction. Originally, the studio hired director Dwight H. Little to direct the film, but it had a decision to make as he was also offered Free Willy 2. He chose to do Free Willy 2, figured it would be highly successful like the original film. Fox then hired John Woo since he was the perfect director for a film of this nature. The film missed its original December 1995 release date when special effects work could not be completed. Thus, it was released in February, so it was supposed to be December. This comes out. Let's see. The pistol used by Travolta is a Beretta 93R third generation model. Let's see. Sorry, just looking through this. Sorry, just looking through this. There was another similar action-adventure thriller titled Sandblast in development. In early 1995, Eddie Murphy was sought on to star in that film due to him wanting to do more serious action movie roles. The script for it was written by screenwriter Stephen Maeda in 1993, and it was sold to Joel Silver, famous producer of many action hits, and Warner Brothers for $750,000. Described as Die Hard and cliffhanger in the Desert Sandstorm, the plot of the Sandblast would have been similar to the plot of Broken Arrow. It was going to take place in the Iraq Desert after the Gulf War, and Eddie Murphy would play the lead role of an ex-landmine expert and army specialist who has to help a group of U.S. commandos to stop the team of traitorous Green Berets from tracking down lost nuclear warheads which are somewhere in the desert wasteland, while dealing with deadly terrain and huge sandstorms at the same time. Once Murphy quit from the project due to scheduling conflicts and then went on to star in Metro, in 1996 Wesley Snipes signed on to star in Sandblast for a paycheck of $10 million. Warner Bros. Also wanted Van Damme to play the main villain, the leader of the Green Berets, but despite studio already securing the budget, crew, and some of the other cast of the film, there were many problems, like Wesley Snipes and Van Damme's last few films not being a box office success, Van Damme refusing to play the main villain, and also not liking that his character would be killed in the end by Snipes' character, and problems with not finding right desert locations for the film, all which caused Warner Bros. To cancel the film in 1996. So... that would have been interesting to see. Yeah, I don't really get the hate this film gets. I really don't get what's supposedly so bad about this movie. Christian Slater does a good job as the lead. John Travolta is having a buttload of fun. It has a slick production value. It has a capable direction by John Woo. Sadly, these guys are not going to make it, most of them at least. Yep, there you go. This is where you find out Howie Long is with the bad guys. Of course, Howie Long, the football player, and I guess like Fox, they saw something in Howie Long they liked. I guess he was supposed to be a much smaller role, smaller part. And I guess if they saw something in him, they said, "Did he be in the film more? Did he have a bigger part?" And I think they also led him in a movie of his own called Firestorm, which didn't do much of anything. There's Howie Long. Which look-wise, he looks like he could play Eddie Brock in a Venom movie. Like, look-wise. He's not the best actor in the world, but I mean, I'm just saying look-wise. See, just that one look like, with his lip, Travolta just having a ball with his. A reminder of his sort of maybe Achilles heel, which is Christian Slater's character, that $20 bill. And you tell John Woo always wants to keep the camera moving, to keep the pace going with this film. I'm laughing as the way Howie Long just pretend like he's dying. Like even his fake acting isn't really that great, but it's kind of funny. But yeah, 1996 is a hell of a year for movies because when you got into the summer, you had Independence Day, you had Twister, you had Mission Impossible, a lot of big movies at that time. Maybe for some people they expect a lot more wall-to-wall action like other John Woo films, and maybe that's the thing. Like when you think of John Woo, typically you think of, understandably so, hard-targeted, hard-boiled, guns ablazing, that type of stuff. And you see the older John Woo films, you see, Bull in the Head, and The Killer, and like I said, hard-boiled. You're seeing a lot more of that insane action, explosions, people getting shot 85 times, and that's not what this film is. So I can see maybe a lot of people, they're expecting a John Woo movie, and they go, well, what is this? It's just, they're out in the desert, and what's going on here? But I think it was a nice way of John Woo trying to do something a bit different. with, again, a good cast. I thought the two leads worked well. Some nice camera work, some nice vistas of the desert locations, and like this coming up is a very stellar set piece with the helicopter. Like the way they made the helicopter crash, looking like it's right in front of the actors. Looks like a lot of it's done practical or with model work, however the hell they did it. Is very solid, and yeah, coming up we're into an action sequence here. And the fact that you do this all practically, look at that. That's two stunt people right in front of a goddamn explosion with a car. Like how dangerous that can be. And you can't do that anymore, sadly. So even a bit like that looks so remarkable nowadays because we take the shit for granted. Even though the actual actors running from all these like squibs in the dirt, just how much this is done for real in camera. Again, took it for granted because we expected that be forever. I mean, yeah, look how low that damn helicopter is. I think that was really Christian Slater that the helicopter just passed right up by. Pretty damn low, too. But it looks great for the shot. And the picture quality looks good on the Blu-ray, too. Again, just sad that there's no special features on this. I guess if it was a over $100 million hit in the U.S., that type of hit, then maybe. Yeah, it's a film that no one really talks about. So I guess, Fox didn't give a shit of. I mean, to be honest, Fox didn't give a shit about a lot of movies when it came to physical media. It's a nice shot here. Ooh, got him. Very nice shot. I would bet that was probably cut down by the MPAA. They probably saw a bit more of that blood squib hitting the guy. And do you see like a big hole right here? Like this, like, look at this. This looks like right there. I'm like, how the hell did they do this? Like that, it looks like the damn helicopters were coming right towards this person. That's a real blade right in front of them. Like how the helicopter landed nose deep and almost hit the girl. Whether the stunt actress or whoever, like, damn, man. Of course, this is more the build-up of Bob Gunton being this nervous guy, which is going to lead to his death, because Travolta's tired of hearing him. Kid Travolta just having fun. And like I said, this is one of my favorite roles of Travolta. I think he's having a ball with this. I think this is a much better job of, quote, overacting compared to Nick Cage in Face Off. I do. Do I think Travolta is like, he's being over the top, but he's still being this sinister, like, this guy's out of his mind crazy. You're not just thinking, okay, this guy's doing a hand before. Like, this guy is nuts, and he's supposed to be nuts, and very infectious fun with it. Won't do something stupid like not pay. Well, they don't. South would be a quiet neighborhood for about 10,000 years. And there's a lot of great moments. Like, was like, I said, God damn, what a rush. Or, will you please not shoot at the nuclear weapons? And by the way, if you hear wind, I apologize. Just the AC. It's just way too hot around here. It's like over 100 degrees. So it's just way too hot. Now, yeah, a lot of times these movies back in the day, you would have these scenes where people just talking, and it's like, okay, we gotta move the plot along, we gotta move the exposition along. And they're not always, they're not people's favorite scenes. It's kind of like a means to an end where I guess you gotta have it because you gotta create more of the story of what's going on and what's happening, and you gotta fill up that running time. But again, no one's gonna sit there and go, my favorite scenes is when they're talking around the table and they're talking about the exposition. But yeah, a lot of movies, especially in the '90s, had these type of sequences. As I always think of like Under Siege, among other people. But yeah, I just miss movies like this, and I looked at this year of movies, and it's so fucking depressing. It's so damn depressing because what do we really? I mean, I did it. If you thought this was a great year for movies and you're loving it, then good. This doesn't pertain to you. But for a guy like me, who loves action movies and love escapism, and no, I'm not expecting movies to be perfect. There's rarely. It's hard to find a movie quote perfect, but goddamn, man. I mean, this year, like, okay, if I looked up the year 1996, I bet you'd find countless movies. I bet you Independence Day and Twister and Mission Impossible, and then you got this movie. I think The Fighters came out this year. Do you mind? No, I don't mind at all. I miss villains like this that were just fun or sinister or just had gravitas to them. Alan Rickman in Die Hard, John Lithgow in Cliffhanger, Wesley Snipes in Demolition Man, Lance Henriksen in Hard Target. Even here, John Travolta in Broken Arrow. Just fun villains. And you don't have that anymore. And like you don't have these type of action scenes anymore. As much as people want to talk about John Wick 4, a lot of that was like CGI, like the CGI bumper car with John Wick and the fucking dog bouncing off the fucking windshields in CGI. All this, the more and more CGI manipulation in those movies. Expendables sequels. There's a bit of that in the first one, but the sequels they did more and more of that. I mean, if I look at, I mean, I would get into our next action sequence. Well, goddamn. It's just John Woo knew how to handle these type of scenes, and that's the thing is that people are like, well, how come you don't like Face Off but you like this movie? This movie to me is better paced than Face Off. Face Off is a longer film that feels like a longer film. Here, it feels like it goes at a good, consistent pace where we set up these two characters and we're on to the story as just this race against time. These little moments here, getting the gun, boom, nice stunt work. Shot him right in the leg and get the fuck out of the car. And they run him over. They're bad guys, why not? Why wouldn't they do it? Will you please, I think that's coming up. Will you please not shoot at the thermonuclear weapons? I think that's coming up here. Will you mind not shooting at the thermonuclear weapons? Granted, from what I understand, that wouldn't matter anyway, but it's a fun line. But yeah, 1996, you had From Dusk Till Dawn, which is a classic movie. Screamers, that's a bit of an underrated film. This film, I think, is very underrated. Happy Gilmore, considered by a lot as Adam Sandler's best film. Or at least it's my favorite Adam Sandler film. The Birdcage, that's a fun one. Yeah, Executive Decision was the same year as this, actually. Yeah, 96. Although I'm not a fan of that film. That's a film I think sucks. Executive Decision. But like many people say, we all have our different opinions. Fear, that's actually pretty decent with Mark Wahlberg. Let's see. Sorry, the way this is done on the phone is hard to get through this stuff. I highlight this here with the flare and the gas can. Like, that's a cool shot from within the windshield, and you see that someone's driving, you see that flame encase it. Again, this would be done like CGI enhancements, CGI fire. Also, it's like the look of the film would be filtered and looking fake. Hell, someone's probably be filming a goddamn fake desert. Like this shot, wide shot here, it'd probably be like fake filtered shit. And shit that we took for granted back then. Yeah, you had Twister, you had Mission Impossible, you had The Arrival. That's a good one with Charlie Sheen. The Arrival. The Rock, of course, The Rock. You forget The Rock. So think of action films. You got Independence Day, Twister, you got Broke the Arrow and The Rock, you got Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's a fun one. Your Luggage. Courage Under Fire is not a bad movie. The Frighteners, that's a good one. Time to Kill is a good drama. Kingpin with Woody Harrelson. I like his Steve from LA, although the CGI is pretty bad in that. I like his Steve from LA. The Fan, I like The Fan. I like Tin Cup. I think Daylight with Stallone was the same year. I like Daylight. That was a cool shot there where you see just the light on his eyeball. Some nice cinematography there. Maximum Risk. That's a bit of an underrated Jean-Claude Van Damme film. I like Maximum Risk. Extreme Measures. That's with Hugh Grant. That's an underrated one. That still doesn't have a Blu-ray. Sadly, Extreme Measures. That's a good thriller. with Hugh Grant. Long Twisted Night, that's a damn good action film. Just some of these films we just took for granted. Sweeners, that's a funny movie. Bad Moon, that's not a bad one. Ransom, I mentioned that one. Mel Gibson, that's a good thriller. Space Jam, that's fun. Jingle All the Way is fun. Star Trek First Contact, one of the better Star Trek movies. Yeah, Daylight was this year. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, even a lot of those films I mentioned, like The Longest Good Night did not do well. Daylight bombed. Eraser did okay, but it didn't do Terminator 2 True Lies numbers. The Rod did well. This film did, I guess, okay, depending on how you look at it. Yeah, this, I mean, just sad that, this film is one of those movies that fall under the crack, so to speak. You have a good hero, you got a good villain, you have capable, solid action sequences, you got a fantastic score with Hans Zimmer that really gets their adrenaline pumping. I love the finale on the train. There's a lot of great stuff on that train. Oh shit. I use uncoded circuit boards. You just activated a nuclear warhead, my friend. Setting off a nuke in this mind, part of my plan to start. Otherwise, DC might say I haven't got the guts to do it. Fuck, he's gonna do it. And yeah, I love the rapport between these two, the hero and the villain. I miss that as well. I mean, think about it. Even action films I've liked in the past couple years, not a lot of them have great villains. I liked Nobody with Bob Odenkirk. I could barely remember the villain in that. Hell, I like John Wick Chapter 2 a lot. Even I said the villain wasn't great in that. I wasn't a fan of John Wick 4, and one of the reasons is because I think the villain sucked in it. It's one of the many reasons. It just... We don't have that anymore. I mean, look at I know Shout Factory's coming out with a Blu-ray Surviving the Game. Look at the cast in that. The villains, you got Rutger Hauer, Gary Busey, F. Murray Abraham. Like, no. Now, of course, Ice-T is your lead. That's a film I wouldn't mind getting Surviving the Game. Again, it's coming from Shout Factory, which is cool. That's if I would get a Blu-ray. This film, I mean, this was 20th Century Fox, so I guess technically Disney now owns this? Since they own Fox? Or I just, I don't know, they release it under maybe their Hulu brand if you want to see it or something, but they're not going to be re releasing this on physical media. Broken Arrow. Unless they somehow give it to someone, I don't know, but you're not going to see a 4K of this film. You're not going to see anything of this film other than this Blu ray. But yeah, I do like John Woo is keeping the camera work going, keeping the camera moving, not trying to be stagnant. Like I said, I feel more of a drive in this compared to Face Off. Like Face Off is kind of okay. They stop the bad guy, but then it kind of stops for a bit. But then we have this procedure, and then we got to escape the prison. Then it stops. Then now they've switched, and one's trying to be the other guy's life, and I don't know, just wasn't really into the story, wasn't really into the plot, wasn't really into the pacing of that film. So Frank Whaley was right, just the wrong guy. I can't remember how the hell did they get the radio intercept? How did they say it? But yeah, I don't understand when people say this is a junk or janky or bad movie. Don't understand that at all. Again, great usage of camera, just wonderful usage of music. I mean that I keep mentioning the music because that's another lost art is how music can really encapsulate an action sequence. Of course, the sound design and the camera movement and all that stuff, but the uh, the music itself to really bring the adrenaline pumping excitement to it. The clock is ticking. Of course, he doesn't give a shit about that guy, so he's gonna give us just enough time. And I never had issues. Some people have issues with John Travolta. I don't really know why. He always was a good actor to be, whether it be bit roles like in Terry or other films of that nature. Of course, you gotta have the two guns. John over there, go. I could absolutely see why Slayer would say yes to this. I get to be in a John Woo film. I get to have two guns blazing like Chow Yun Fat, like hard boiled. Just make it look so cool, like a badass. If I ever met Richard Slayer, this is the film I would ask him about. How was it shooting Broken Arrow? Because I don't know if anyone really ever asked him about this movie, which is too bad. But again, if I ever met him, this would be the film I would ask him about. But anyway, it's sort of the last remaining days of Christian Slayer being a star and at least a. Oh, I love this shot coming up. Nice blood squibs, guns ablazing. There you go. There's the leap and a good tuck and roll. Nice. Great usage of sparks as well. John, the destruction of the environment to really sell the illusion of the shootout. Saw a lot of that in Hard Target and Hard Boiled, and you see bits of that in this as well. There's only so much you can do in a mine. The grenade. Yeah, shoot the shit out of him. Oh yeah, kind of like in Hard Tar where we drop the grenade. Only in this point, instead of Van Damme keeping it for Lance, throw it. Again, great staging of this. The guy ducked out of the way, the explosion, the wide shot showing the bit of the cave in. Now, of course, we've been told that there's an underground river. We've had a little bit of exposition so that we have a reason as to how these guys can make it out of there. Now remember, he put 13 minutes in, so I don't know how many minutes it's been. I don't know if it's been 13 minutes already or what. I wasn't timing it because remember he put 13 minutes into that bomb, so I don't know how long it's been since that. Should check that. You fucked in the head, Deke. That pissed him off. And I think Slater worked well. I think I was saying that, I always liked Christian Slater. Like I mentioned, Cuffs is a very underrated one. I would say the humor in that's kind of a precursor to Deadpool. Talking from, I mean, Ferris Bueller's Day Off talked to the camera, but the way it was done in Cuffs reminded me a bit more of what you later see in Deadpool. Breaking the fourth wall. And then you have, like I said, Gleam in the Tube. That needs a release in the U.S. It's an underrated movie. Oh, there's a nice explosion here. Nice. But like I said, the wasn't too many theatrical films that you would see Christian Slater star in. Because after this, you had Hard Rain, which I like. I mean, That's another film that could be re-released on Blu-ray. Because then the Blu-ray is out of print or something, and it was known as The Flood, but then it got changed to Hard Rain, which The Flood, they thought, I don't know, The Flood didn't sound like an action film, but Hard Rain, I just, hey, Hard Boiled, Hard Target, Hard Rain, I don't know, Die Hard. And we've had Die Hard and Hard Boiled and Hard Rain. We've had Die Hard, Hard Boiled, and Hard Target. Why not Hard Rain? I don't know what the fuck a hard rain is. A rain that's took Viagra? I don't fucking know. Rain took Viagra is now Hard Rain. But I like that film. That's an underrated movie. That's got Trisha Slater, Morgan Freeman, Randy Quaid. They really make it look like a whole town's been flooded. There's some really good set pieces of that, action set pieces. And sadly, that film was a complete bomb. Like, this wasn't a complete bomb. You know, they made some money. Probably not the money they wanted. But obviously successful enough that John Woo got Face Off and Mission Impossible 2 and so forth. Oh, I think this is where you don't kill Bob Gunton's character. I'll get back to my Slater bit in a minute. Don't wait for that. Because I think he strikes Bob Gunton right in the throat. And come on, with these movies, there's always a digital counter. A digital timer. Always. So many movies you need a bomb with a digital timer. There's that river. Nice wide shots of the desert there. This helicopter's not going to have a fun day because of the shock wave, so to speak. I think he also mentions the EMP. Now, how scientifically accurate this film is, I'm sure it's zilch and nada. But I don't know shit about it. I don't really care to know about it. I just watch it as a fun popcorn movie, so fuck it. Yeah, I think he's here coming up. Yeah, right here. Boom! There you go. Right in his throat. Hush! Hush! I love it. I mean, I love it. I love Travolta's performance in this. If it was Nicolas Cage, you know, with his eyes, hush, hush. But Travolta goes, hush, hush. Like, the right feel for it. The right feel for it. But yeah, Christian Slater, like I said, after Hard Rain was such a big bomb, I can't remember what he got after that. I think mainly he went straight to video stuff. And he'd pop up in these films like, yeah, I think he was in one with Cuba Gooding Jr., straight to video, bit of action film, and I don't think he was a star, but Cuba Gooding Jr. was the star. He had a film called He Was a Quiet Man, maybe some TV work. And theatrical, he had like a supporting role in, the Stallone film, Bullet to the Head, what is it? Bullet in or Bullet to the Head, can never remember the difference. He had a like small role in that. But really never got to star in a big budget film afterward. Because when they don't think you're a baitable star, you don't lose that option. You know, that's why you hear people like these projects that they're not gung-ho about, because they're hoping it's a box office hit and that they'll have more opportunities. Because they'll maybe give some leeway if maybe one or two films bomb, but when it's 3 or 4 or 5, then it's like, okay, we're done. See, that was cool the way they did with the ground there. It goes like right under the Humvee right here. That looks really cool. Same with this this helicopter crash. Great model work. Real fire, real explosions. I said, God damn, what a rush. Now, again, whether that would really work if it was underground, what, 2,000 or so feet deep, and would it really have no effect other than the shock wave? I don't know. I'm sure scientists would be like, this is the dumbest shit ever, but I don't know, so I just buy into it and I'm enjoying the movie. And we have about 30 some minutes left of the film because we're about to get to our big final set piece, which is the train, which is to me the best part of the movie. I guess John Woo couldn't put his pigeons or doves, so now you have butterflies. Well, I said I thought this was a nice change of pace for John Woo, especially when you look at his full filmography. I think it works. Because, like I said, the next one was Face Off, and I know people are like, how do you not like Face Off? I go back and forth. Sometimes I go, Face Off is a mixed bag, it's okay, it's a time waster. Other days I go, nah, fuck that movie's overrated. I go back and forth. Just one of those I watch, I go, okay, I've seen much worse films, I've seen much worse movies, I can watch it, there's some good elements to it. But then it's like, oh, well, you know what, that movie's so much better than this, so much better than that. I'm like, oh, fuck that movie, no bullshit, I like Nick Cage as an actor, but I'm not a fan of him in that movie. I think he works great in Con Air. I don't think he works great in Face Off. I just don't. And I think that film is way too long. It's like well over 2 hours long. And I'm not really invested in the story of Travolta versus Cage. Like I said, I like Richard Slater more. Is this Nick Cage? I do like Nick Cage, and he has a starring wise a better filmography because he's had more. There's more interesting stuff like Mandy and Willy's Wonderland and The Unbelievable Weight of Massive Talent, and it's one of the few actors taking chances, and that's by taking chances it gives us some pretty interesting movies. Nobody else really does that. Now, granted, it was because he was trying to get his way out of debt, but at the same time, in a way, it kind of helped him become a much more interesting actor compared to some of these other guys who you don't really think of. Nick Cage was good as Dracula in Renfield, so I mean that's the thing. Leaving behind more and more interesting filmography. What does he sense Slater like the Force? He's got the Force. But yeah, John Woo has this thing with a lot of his movies about brotherhood or how connection between two or so individuals. You see that with the connection with the three individuals and Bullet in the Head. or between Chow Yun-fat and Danny Lee and The Killer, or Chow Yun-fat and Tony Leone and Hard Boiled. Of course, between various other films. And after this, like I said, Face Out wasn't for me. Mission Impossible 2, I'm not a fan of. I think that's one of the weaker Mission Impossible movies. What else do we have? Trying what else he did. Guys, I think Face Off was 97. Mission Impossible was, what, 2000? Give or take? Trying to think what he did after. I like Paycheck. I mean, I love Paychecks. Like everybody loves Paychecks, but I like the movie Paycheck. I thought that the story was interesting. I liked the idea of all these trinkets that you have to use for X, Y, and Z reasons, and how are they going to be used, and the sci-fi angle. And, it wasn't rated R. You don't have the full-blown John Woo effect, to be fair. But it was going to be another change of pace of John Woo. I thought the action scenes were pretty damn good. Not as good as Broken Arrow or Hard Boiled or Hard Target, but still pretty good. And I like Ben Affleck. I like Aaron Eckhart. What's his name? Joe Morton. I liked a lot of the people involved with it. So, yeah, I still like the movie Paycheck. After that, that's pretty much the last of it. When Talkers was not a fan. I always forget the last John Woo film he had released. Because I hated it. And I always forget the title, so I have to look it up. Yeah, I mean, that is something. I think maybe we go, oh, it's a basic Hollywood film with a John Woo style. Well, what's wrong with that? The one's worked well. The acting, the pacing, the action scenes, the practical effects, the score, all the assets work well and efficient. And that's what kills me about Siskel and Ebert. This next fucking year, they give Speed 2 Cruise Control 2 thumbs up. I get it. We all have different opinions. We all have differing tastes. But I would love to. I would have loved to sit down with Siskel and Ebert and go, "Here's Broken Arrow, or hell, Die Hard." They didn't get 2 thumbs up, but here's Broken Arrow, and here's Speed 2 Cruise Control. Please tell me why you think Broken Arrow is worse than Speed 2 Cruise Control. Please tell me why Speed 2 Cruise Control is a much better movie than Broken Arrow. And I'll tell you the opposite. And let's let the crowd decide. I would love for that, man. I would love for that. Like, come on now. And Speed 2 Cruise Control gets 2 thumbs up, but this doesn't. I know at the end of the day, it's like, what does it matter? They've passed away. It's people's opinions. It doesn't matter. It's just discussion. It's just discussion, conversation, curiosity, all the above. So yeah, the films of his I've seen. A Better Tomorrow I'm not that big on, honestly. He Who Shed No Tears was not too bad. A Better Tomorrow 2 I thought was better than the first one. The Killer I liked. Just Heroes actually got a request for that, so I'll be seeing that soon. Bullet in the Head. That's John Woo's movie. That's an underrated one. That's a really good one. That deserves a release in the U.S. It truly does. Once a Thief I didn't mind, in particular the second half of the film. Hard Boiled is a classic. Hard Tart is a classic. Broken Arrow I love. Face Off. Mission Impossible 2 Oh, then he did Wind Talkers, then Paycheck. Manhunt, that was the one I saw that I hated. Manhunt 2017, fucking awful film. The worst John Woo film I've ever seen. And apparently he's doing one called Silent Night, starring Joel Kinnaman. And supposedly there's no dialogue. A man goes to the underworld to avenge his son's death. Pretty basic plot. I mean, the fact that there's no dialogue is interesting, and Joe Kinnaman, I mean, I talk shit about him because of RoboCop, because it's still an awful fucking movie. But I will admit, he did a good job in the last Suicide Squad film. I give credit where credit's due. Him playing Rick Flag in the 2021 Suicide Squad, he actually wasn't that bad. I give credit where credit's due. So, if he could continue that, good for him. Is that saying when the fuck the movie's coming out, though? So, it really has no dialogue. It was a no-spec script, which the producer was like, this is either going to be genius move or disaster. There's no in between. John Woo kills it. Joe Kim is the star and really delivers. There's some ambient noise and background chatter like radio and stuff. But yeah, it's awesome. I can't wait for you to see it. So yeah, I have no idea what the hell. I mean, I really have my hopes low, low, and lower, and lowest, but hey, I hope it delivers. Whenever the hell it comes out, I hope it delivers. But I'm not going to expect the fucking return of John Woo and all that shit, but I hope it delivers. And yeah, there are films I liked Distraction 2 that came out this year. Although I have issues with it. There you go. Samantha Mathis kicks some ass. Ooh, right hook. Oh, this is a great shot. Boom, with the hammer right to the head. Great use of slow-mo there. Bullseye. Just love that shot with the hammer, and you see it float go in the air. Give her a bit of something to do. So yeah, that's the pistol I was talking about before. That was a Beretta. Definitely interesting looking gun with the barrel. See, look at that barrel. It's like extended at the end there. And what's that bit at the bottom? Like above the trigger but below the barrel. Is that like something to put something else on there or something? That's his speed. 100% pussy. It Travolta just sells this whole thing of just being absolutely fucking insane. Okay, yeah, it looks like there's a you could put an attachment underneath, something like that maybe. But yeah, they don't make movies like this anymore. Sadly, it's just. I mean, I was talking about this year movies. I mean, we've had Barbie movies. I'm trying to think of what other big movies there were. Now, this guy I recognize who's telling the with the at the TV. Look how old that TV is. This is how TVs were back in the day. But that guy who's talking by the TV, he's been in quite a few films, including he's one of the soldiers in Alien Resurrection. He's one of the ones that chupacabra looking xenomorph kills. He's popped up from time to time in quite a few films, quite a few movies. Sorry, now I'm just watching the film. There you go. Again, I love that music and that back and forth. Really get a sense of these two, like toe to toe. And just great music by Hans Zimmer really elevates the proceedings. And just how much they did with a working train too. Like, all this would be like CGI. But even the little stuff with the bullet squibs, things like that. It just these details are just. I didn't. People take advantage of it, or now. In this world of superhero movies and comic book movies and all sorts of shit. I mean, the goddamn most successful movie of the year is Barbie. Barbie. Think about that. That's the world we live in today. The most successful film in the world of this year is a fucking Barbie movie. Barbie. Pansy ass bullshit world. Fucking Barbie. And countless superhero films and The Flash and all this other shit. Bad thing we could get movies like this. People getting shot with blood squibs, well done action sequences and stunt work. Heroes, villains that were memorable, close calls, hard work with destruction of environments and all sorts of stuff. Let's give these guys a haircut. Oh shit. Ooh, nice bloody hit there. I forgot how bloody that was, but that was pretty cool. Bit on nice blood there. Oh, it's like between her legs, I believe. Like, this is a pretty cool looking shot. There you go. Got him. I don't know why he didn't just shoot him. Was his job to take him prisoner? I thought his job was to shoot to kill, so why was he not shooting them? But hey, I mean, we wouldn't have had that scene then. Just the lesser of two evils. The lesser of two evils. Yeah, and sadly, Delroy Lindo's character just killed, which is too bad. Because he just shot up here and then. Can't quite make it. Did good bottle work. I remember there's a TV spot you can find on YouTube where they actually had it was White Zombie before just Rob Zombie, but White Zombie's More Human Than Human. It was a pretty interesting choice, which is cool. I do like that song. It works well for an action movie. And this is a good looking shot. Like, look at that. I mean, it's someone really at the bottom of a fucking train being dragged. Great job to the stuntman. And even the up close shots of Christian Slayer, that's not an easy thing to do. It was, especially the stuntman. But like that shot. That's why enough shot the show there. That's Christian Slater doing it. Now he's not doing the whole thing, but I mean, so some nice work there. Really being dragged along that damn bottom of that train. And that's the thing, like, there's nothing in the background that showcases digital manipulation that take you out of the scene. It's like, no, they're on a train. It's, you see the clouds, the trees, the whole location, the whole area, environment. It's not about the rain. It's not fucking around. Ooh, nice. The stuntman flew really far. I'll say it again, what a great explosion. That's the thing, back to the day, that heroes, villains, blood scripts, explosions, excitement, fun villains, exciting musical scores, all this shit combined. We don't have that anymore. And sometimes I feel like I'm just I am talking to the air. There's no one here, but god damn. Just depressing. Like, let me look up the biggest films of this year and go through the list. Because I know coming up we got this big swing that's going to catapult Howie Long the fuck out of here. His movie career didn't last long. You had this, you had Firestorm. That's pretty much it. And lastly, I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm paused at 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 39 seconds. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. Sorry, I had to get some stuff done. I think this is where he says the line, fuck them if they can't take a joke. Now, technically, you should be working with Christian Slater. Otherwise, you don't die, but... Well, you don't die anyway. There's going to be a great swing here. Great swing. Now, of course, they use this over-the-top stream that's been used in a lot of movies. I don't think it's the Wilhelm stream. I think it's the other one. I forget what that's called. But I love this bit here with the shotgun where it's like he jumps and like does this turn coming up here. There you go. Love that. But he jumps, but he does the turn with the shotgun. And of course, another great line. Yeah, you mind, dude? Yeah. Ain't it cool? But yeah, these are the biggest films of this year. I guess worldwide. Barbie, Super Mario Brothers, Spider-Man Across Spider-Verse, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Oppenheimer, The Little Mermaid, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, John Wick 4, Sound of Freedom, Indiana Jones the Dial of Destiny. And like Ant-Man 3 was considered a disappointment. Dial of Destiny, you could consider that a fucking flop. Because didn't that movie cost, well, I guess, or is, I guess that's in the US. Yeah, I guess it's all in the US. This is how much they made in the US. So I guess if you take worldwide, Fast Sex would be 5. Fall River Red, Wandering Earth 2. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 made 560 million. It is what it is. We get into the fist fight here. Which I love this fist fight. I think it's a really well done fight. Of course, we see a bit of them fight at the beginning of the movie, but definitely under different circumstances here. And of course, here's not going to be just boxing, but he's going to be using a bit more stuff here too. Nice stunt from that lady, man. This just feels like a rough and tumble fight in fisticuff. Like, I wish Stallone and Van Damme had this type of like knockdown brutal fight in The Expendables 2. But sadly that wasn't the case. I wish Expendables 2 was directed by John Woo. Van Damme and John Woo worked together again. That would have been great to see. There you go. Nice elbow to there. And we get up to my favorite piece of music in the movie that just really just gets the blood pumping. One of my favorite action movie scores is this bit coming up. Is when he drops this crowbar and just goes to town. But so fucking satisfying. Feel you like that? And come up, he does a fantastic combo of fists, ending with a sidekick. And this music just is fantastic. It just gets me happy, and especially here, look at this. 1, 2, uppercut, backhand, boom, boom, and kick. What a combo. Multi-combo, yeah. Love that. And then Hans Zimmer did a wonderful... And he did the score to Black Rain, another good score. Great flip to get the thing. I mean, granted, he could have just reached over and done it, but you gotta do it cool. You gotta do the jump and turn and cool. He could just, like, leave. And come on, you gotta have the bad guy die a big death. Get impaled and boom. Yes, obviously, if you pause it, it's a dummy. I mean, well, they don't have a real person. But better than CGI bullshit. And that's a great shot, too. Like, that's Slater right in front of these explosions and this train. They look like they fucking derailed a real goddamn train. I mean, it looks like they derailed a whole entire fucking train. The nuke. And of course, that $20. Fun little motif there. I guess he gets the last dollar, the last laugh. I win. $20 says, and you guys, $20. Samantha Mathis is pretty sexy looking. And not a bad actress either. I liked her in Super Mario Bros. Liked her in this. I don't know what she did after this. Pleased to meet you. You know you're still under arrest, Captain. I like that they went with that and not just the typical kiss. Like, the typical kiss would be like, oh my god. But the fact it's a handshake, and then maybe it'll lead to something more. I thought that was a nice, different way to end the film. And I'm surprised they didn't go back to, like, Frank Whaley and Kurtwood Smith and blah, blah, blah. But you didn't need it. It ends with them. The bad guy's dead. The hero survived. The movie's over. Great movie. Still so satisfying after all this time. Oh, George P. Wilbur. I think that's the guy who was Michael Myers in Halloween 4. I think he was one of the stunt people in this. You know, I'll watch the end credits. Why not? I love this film. It's been a while since I've seen this. So thank you, Johnny, for giving me a reason to watch it again. It's been so long. And this film deserves so much more than it's got, man. Underrated as hell. Awesome movie. Man. Just makes me sad because I read that list of, like, I didn't mind the Super Mario Brothers movie, but man, like, you compare the stuff here, like Barbie and Ant-Man 3 and all this other shit. And they still made more money than this. That's the thing, like, no matter how I feel about Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Hulkamania, WrestleMania, whatever the hell, technically it still made more money than this, and it's just a fucking shame. And I guess I get mad, like, on one hand, yes, people can like whatever they want. I think the reason I get mad, but I'm not really mad at the people. I'm just mad at the situation, which I know is hard to explain. Money, be like, what does it matter? Because studios, filmmakers, whoever, they look and hear, for the most part, what people are saying, what people are feeling, what people liked and didn't like, and what the box office says. And then they follow that. So, if this film and Ant-Man 3 or Barbie or something comes out and you see how much money they made and this movie made, they go, oh, well, the audience have decided. Let's make more movies like Barbie. Let's make more movies like Ant-Man 3. Let's make more movies like this other shit. And that's just not the shit I want. The shit I do want gets pushed aside or become underrated or maybe get found later or something else happens. And I'm like, I want to see more movies like this. I'm not talking about sequels, but I want to see more movies in this vein. With the acting, the characters, the action, the spectacle, the practical explosions, model work, effects, squibs, score. He's got a good hero who's got some charisma to him, a fun villain who's over the top but sinister. The score that gets your blood pumping. Action sequences are well staged, well handled, with sparks and explosions and blood squibs. Nice support with like Samantha Mathis and Delroy Lindo and Kurtwood Smith, and a straightforward plot that doesn't have to be 2.5 or 3 hours. Under 2 hours. I mean, we're at 1 hour and 46 minutes, and that's because the credits have been going for about 2 minutes. So, 1 hour and 44, 1 hour and 43. Pretty good spot. Fairly well paced. We can't get that shit. I'm tired of that. I hate that. Pisses me off. It does piss me off. I can't help it. It's just like, God damn, why can't we have, It is what it is, though. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And yeah, just to further state, like, there's no features on this. If I go to features, there's a trailer for, once I get to the menu, special features, trailers for Broken Arrow, Alien vs. Predator, Chain Reaction. Remember that with Keanu Reeves? That was, I think, the same year as Broken Arrow, 96. Commando, Phone Booth, and Planet of the Apes. Is this the one with Tim Burton? Yes, it is. From 2001. So, there you go. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.